Her father had handed her over to a stranger to settle his debts, and she had braced herself for the worst, expecting nothing but ruin. But instead, the man had whisked her away to a sprawling luxury penthouse in New York, treating her like a precious gem in a world of opulence. She lay on the softest bed she'd ever known, feigning sleep with her eyes tightly shut, while he lingered just outside, his voice a low murmur in the darkness. He had found her at last, his little star, and now she was his to cherish in this dark romance filled with possessive desire. Accustomed to bruises and harsh words, to being treated like dirt underfoot, she felt bewildered as this billionaire CEO, this obsessive alpha male named Christian Grey, held her delicately in his palms, showering her with tenderness. He adored her so fiercely, yet his reverence held him back, making him hesitate even to brush his lips against hers. She reached out tentatively, linking her fingers with his in a moment of quiet intimacy. She was his star, and he was her moon, the only light piercing the endless night. His eyes glistened with emotion, something sparkling within them like distant stars in this enemies to lovers tale that twisted into a marriage of convenience. Her father owed $800,000 in gambling debts, a sum he couldn't repay. When the mysterious creditor proposed taking her as payment, the family rejoiced, not just for clearing the slate, but for finally ridding themselves of her. No one in that house had ever shown her kindness. Her father called her worthless, raining blows upon her whenever the whiskey flowed. Her mother spat venom, blaming her for every misfortune, and even her younger sister, spoiled and pampered like a princess, lorded over her as if she were a slave. Bullying came easy to the sister, with no repercussions, while any resistance from her earned double the punishment. When news spread that she was being sent away, she didn't fight it, figuring life couldn't sink lower. A sleek black Maybach pulled up to their rundown alley, its polished exterior clashing with the decay around it. Her sister's eyes gleamed with malice as she waved her off, wishing her a fate as tainted as their mother's. She glanced back without emotion, seeing only poison in those familiar faces. The driver opened the door for her, and she slid in cautiously, only to find him already seated in the back. Christian Grey, the mafia boss whose face she'd glimpsed on finance shows, exuding power and wealth. He greeted her softly, his voice like velvet, and she nodded, tense and watchful. He shifted closer, but she flinched away instinctively, and he paused, respecting her space. After a moment, he sighed and offered a gentle smile, introducing himself as her new guardian in this forced marriage that would bloom into something obsessive. She knew she was worth $800,000 to him, and dreaded what that meant for her future days under his dominant control. At the grand entrance of his penthouse, she froze, staring at the pristine carpet that screamed luxury. Her dirty shoes made her cheeks burn with shame. Christian noticed her hesitation and approached, bending down to her level with a voice as soft as silk, coaxing her inside. When she whispered about her filthy shoes, his eyes filled with pain, as if her sorrow wounded him more than her. He wiped her tears with a tissue, assuring her this was now her home, his possessive husband instincts already claiming her fully. He summoned a maid to draw her a bath and provide fresh clothes, elegant pieces she'd never dreamed of wearing. As a child, she'd once eyed a dress in a shop window, begging her mother, only to be mocked and dismissed as delusional. Now, in this opulent world, everything exceeded her wildest fears of torment. Instead, it was a haven. She sank into the velvet bed, cocooned in softness like clouds, but sleep evaded her. A soft knock came, and she pretended to slumber as Christian entered quietly, his steps feather-light. He paused by her bedside, leaning close, his cool scent enveloping her in the dark. His fingers brushed stray hairs from her face, tickling gently. He sighed her name, Anastasia, or Anna for short, whispering that he had finally found her. She's mine. Every breath she takes belongs to me. In this unfamiliar luxury, she awoke early the next morning, slipping into the new clothes left for her and venturing out quietly. Christian sat at the breakfast table, surprise flickering in his eyes at her early rise. He rose to guide her to his side, another meal appearing as if by magic. She confessed her restlessness, and he probed gently if she'd like to join him at work or play elsewhere. She agreed to accompany him, and he reached to pat her head, pausing until she didn't recoil, then proceeding with care. He promised to fulfill any wish, his obsessive alpha male nature shining through in his vows. The car that day was even more extravagant, a private limo rivaling his jet, confirming his immense wealth as a billionaire CEO. She puzzled over why he'd accept her as debt payment, but he sensed her fear and eased her worries without pressure. Entering his towering office building, employees greeted him deferentially as Mr. Gray, the mafia boss in disguise. She trailed him, awed by his authority, and when she glanced up, he smiled down warmly, drawing shocked stares from onlookers. It was Monday meeting time, and he insisted she join him, causing a stir among the executives who speculated about this mysterious girl by the grumpy sunshine billionaire's side. She obeyed without question, feeling indebted for the $800,000. Little did she know the depths of his love in this age-gap romance. For the first month, he barely let her out of sight, his possessive husband tendencies wrapping her in security she'd never known. His goodness built a fragile trust, but it wavered when a woman named Elena appeared. He asked her to wait in his office while he stepped out, petting her head reassuringly. From the hallway, Elena eyed her with narrowed disdain, appraising her like competition in this jealousy-fueled dark romance. Over the next 6 months, Elena frequented the company, and Anna avoided her at first. But one day, she refused to join Christian at work, insisting on staying behind with cakes and books he provided. After he left, a knock came, Elena, inviting herself in with false courtesy, sitting as if she owned the place. She warned Anna that marriage for men like Christian was about alliances, and Elena's family offered power, while Anna brought nothing. She urged her to leave before things turned ugly. Anna ignored her, sipping water calmly amid the threats, until Elena stormed out, vowing consequences. When Christian returned, he wiped cream from her lips, but detected Elena's perfume, his brow furrowing. Anna admitted the visit, and on the drive home in his Maybach, she stared out silently, dodging his attempts to smooth her hair. Tension built. She called his name without response, her mind torn between clinging to his light and fearing rejection. Logic screamed she didn't belong in his luxury lifestyle, yet greed for his warmth pulled her back. That night, alone in her room, a knock interrupted her pretense of reading. Christian invited her to view the full moon from his balcony in the expansive bedroom of his New York penthouse. She hesitated but joined, unable to resist his anxious gaze. They sat with space between them as wind chilled the air. He asked if she was cold, but she shook her head. He dismissed Elena's words, promising to banish anyone who hurt her, declaring nothing mattered more than her in his world. Tears welled as she asked why he treated her so well. He alluded to ancient reasons, centuries old, stroking her cheek and wiping tears, insisting he'd found her and would eliminate threats. His gaze held seriousness that unnerved her slightly, but he agreed to lawful bounds with a smile. Moonlight gleamed on his hair, and she touched it impulsively, sparking joy in his eyes like a stray finally loved. She's mine to ruin, and no one else will touch her. The next morning, she overslept, rushing out to find him leisurely sipping coffee on the sofa, declaring a holiday. Relieved, she pondered how to spend it, eventually grabbing a book and sitting beside him casually. The first time she'd initiated closeness. He froze, his files untouched as tension simmered. The doorbell rang, saving the moment. He'd ordered heaps of autumn-winter fashions from Cartier and Van Cleef, filling her closet with pearl-encrusted dresses and shoes, childhood dreams realized. He asked if she liked them, and she nodded through tears, voice choked with gratitude. That evening, in a new dress, he drove her to a mid-autumn festival fair in his luxury car, the streets alive with crowds. She clung to his side, eyes bright with joy, drawn to a candy stall. The wheels spun, landing on a magpie instead of her hoped-for dragon, but she licked the treat happily, childlike. An old fortune-teller by the roadside stared, muttering of unfinished past lives renewed. Christian paused but said nothing, focusing on her wishes. On the way home, the route detoured past his company to a charming dessert shop in a lane, its warm lights enchanting. He handed her keys, her birthday gift, remembering her offhand wish for a sweet shop. Tears blurred her vision. No one had celebrated her in years. She hugged him tightly, sobbing thanks, absorbing his warmth as he held her tentatively. They shared a massive cake in her room, candles flickering. She wept during her wish, fearing this happiness was illusory, that he'd vanish like he appeared. He rested his chin on her shoulder, vowing eternal presence in this touch-her-and-die obsession. She probed his feelings, but he deferred, saying they'd proceed as she wished. At 20 now, she hinted boldly at more intimacy, but he didn't grasp it, respecting her pace and their grumpy sunshine dynamic. Life flowed smoothly until her sister appeared, disrupting the balance. Christian was absent when a man knocked, claiming her sister waited. Anna met her in the lobby, where Elena lingered, surprise flashing. The sister demanded money, fabricating tales of family woes, expecting obedience as before. Anna scoffed, telling her to leave. Later, the sister called triumphantly, revealing Elena's plot to use her for sabotage. But the sister's stupidity exposed it all. Anna pondered the betrayal at her desk as twilight fell, sadness welling. Christian arrived, sensing her distress, and she spilled everything through tears, raging at potential threats and her fear of losing him. He apologized sincerely, promising Elena's exile abroad, vowing never to leave unless she willed it. He pulled her into his arms as sobs racked her. She confessed her terror of separation and a budding like for him. The air stilled. He asked her to repeat, his eyes a stormy sea. Trembling, she affirmed it, and he leaned in, nose brushing hers, both shaking. He marveled at the reality, too good to believe. Regret hit her later, sleeplessness plaguing her over the bold words. But morning breakfast revealed his awkwardness, dodging her gaze, ears reddening under her stare. She teased about the sunrise on his cheeks, drawing flustered denials. In his office, she dragged a chair beside him, watching him work, or pretend to, as pages flipped mindlessly. She quizzed him on content, exposing his distraction, his face flushing deeper. Emboldened, she leaned closer, inhaling his scent, until he surrendered, admitting nothing rivaled her beauty, stroking her face tenderly. Now she blushed in turn. Quitting time came. She chattered about her shop and gaining weight as they descended the elevator. He grasped her hand boldly through the crowded lobby, declaring them in love, her heart racing under prying eyes. His indulgence fueled her audacity. Later, in his bedroom under dim lamplight, she perched on his lap, arms around his neck. He trembled holding a book, and she stole a quick kiss. Seconds later, he cupped her head, drawing her in. She hummed coyly, and silence fell before he whispered this was her initiative. His breath surged, kisses raining softly on her forehead, lashes, cheeks, lips, deepening with murmurs of her name. Dizzy, she pulled back, hinting at boundaries for now in this dominant submissive dance. As promised, Elena vanished abroad, no longer a threat. Her father, unchecked in gambling, borrowed fatally from loan sharks and met a violent end. When Anna asked if Christian orchestrated it, he smiled, brushing it off as past irrelevance, his revenge subtle yet protective. She thrived running her dessert shop, her sweet smiles drawing customers, even adopting a cat that lounged lazily, charming patrons. One day, a masked woman paced outside, shrouded mysteriously. Anna approached, offering sweets when the woman nodded hesitantly, then fled with the bag. Nearby customers gossiped about a destitute woman, her mother, it seemed, widowed, thieving, with the sister jailed for assault. The family had crumbled as expected, stirring no pity in Anna, only detachment. They mentioned the other daughter, her, rumored sold for debts, likely doomed. But fate had delivered her to Christian's luxury penthouse, his endless affection. She sipped warm tea, heart filling with gratitude for this world. Christian appeared at the counter, ordering with a smile, asking her thoughts. She quoted an anime line about one person forgiving life's cruelties, linking fingers solemnly. She was his star, he her moon in the blackness. His eyes reddened, sparkling like stars. Customers gone, snow flurrying outside, she kissed him lightly, taking his hand. He returned it, gripping tightly as they headed home to his opulent world. In the weeks that followed, their bond deepened into a passionate whirlwind, blending high-sweet moments with intense, abusive undertones of possession. Christian's obsessive alpha male side emerged fully, claiming her in ways that left her breathless. One evening, in the red room of his penthouse, a space of dark secrets and luxury, he pinned her against the wall in a fierce wall slam, his hands tearing at her dress in a frenzy of jealousy over a casual glance from another. "You're mine, baby girl," he growled in her mind's echo, his dominant grip bruising yet thrilling, as he bound her wrists with red rope, a punishment for her imagined transgression that blurred into ecstasy.